Growth dependent movements or tropic movements, these are the response towards the stimuli, and this response is in the form of growth. So they are the directional movement in the response to stimuli, and these are going to produce the growth in different part of the plant, and this response can either be in the direction of stimulus or it can be away from it. So if it is in the direction of stimulus, we call it positive response, and if it is away from the direction of stimulus, it would be called as the negative response. Now these tropic movements are of different type like phototropism, geotropism, hydrotropism, chemotropism, and thigmotropism. Phototropism or phototropic movement, these are growth movements of curvature in response to unidirectional light. When a growing plant is placed near a window, it bends towards the window to obtain light. Here, the region of photoperception is shoot apex, and the region of response is the area of shoot elongation. So in this example over here, in this image, we know that this is the light which is going to act as the stimulus. So stimulus over here is the sunlight, and the photoreceptor is going to be a pigment which is present inside the plant, and this pigment is a flavoprotein which is called as phytochrome. So this is the one which is going to receive the light. So we know here this light is going to be the stimulus, and the photoreceptor is phytochrome which is present inside the plant. And now this shoot is positively phototropic. What do we mean by positively phototropic? The word means that this growth is towards the direction of stimulus. So from here the light is coming, and in this direction only the plant is also growing. So we will say that it is positively phototropic. But when we see this roots are going in the opposite direction. So we say that roots are going to be negatively phototropic. So root is negatively phototropic. It is always going to move away from the light, and leaves are going to maintain a right angle to the light, hence they are called as diphototrophic. The next type of tropic movement that we have is called as geotropism. The word geo means earth, ground, or gravity, and the growth movement towards this stimulus is called as geotropism. So here we have the definition of geotropism, that it is a directional growth movement of curvature in response to the force of gravity. In this image we can see two things, that is the shoot and the root. The shoot is growing against the gravity, hence it is a negative geotropic movement, whereas the root is growing towards the gravity, so we can say that it is a positive geotropic movement. So the upward growth of the shoot against the earth's gravitation represents negative geotropism, whereas the downward growth of the roots towards the earth gravitational force is called as the positive geotropism. So now we have guessed that the stimulus over here is the gravitational force, and the gravity perception region is going to be root cap, nodes, and shoot apex, and the zone of elongation in both root and shoot is going to be the region of response. Moving on to the next type of tropic movement, we have hydrotropism. So the word hydro means water and tropism means growth dependent movement. So we can define hydrotropism as directional growth movement of curvature in response to water. So plant is going to contain two regions. It is the shoot region and the root region. So when we look at the shoot region, it is always growing in the opposite direction to the water. But when we look at the root region, it will always grow towards the water. So roots are going to be positively hydrotropic because it is growing towards the water, and shoot is going to be negatively hydrotropic because it is growing against the water. So here is an experiment. So we can see that this is the moist sawdust containing water. This is the seed, and this part that we can see is called as the radicle, and radicle is the thing which is going to develop into root. So first we can observe that this Radicle is growing downward. That means it is positively geotropic, right? So radicle at first is going to grow downward, but then suddenly it is taking a turn and then it goes upward. Why? Because it is searching water. So it is showing positive hydrotropism. But now it is going against the gravity. So when we compare the hydrotropic response and the geotropic response, the hydrotropic response is going to be a bit stronger than geotropic response. Moving on towards the next type of tropic movement, we have chemotropism. The word chemo means chemical, means this type of growth dependent movement is going to be because of chemical. So stimulus over here is a chemical. So we can write over here, this is the chemical, and chemotropism is the directional growth movement in the response to chemicals. So here we have the pollen grain. So this is our pollen grain, and this is the pollen tube which is developing. And why is this pollen tube developing? It is developing in response to the chemical which is released by this ovule. So we can say that development of pollen tube is going to be a chemotropic movement, or it is going to be chemotropism. The last type of tropic movement that we have is called as thigmotropism. The word thigmo means touch or contact, and the tropism is growth dependent movement. So we can define thigmotropism as the directional growth movement of curvature in response to the contact stimulus. So in the image over here, we can see that this is a contact at the support, and here this tendril is going to coil itself. So this is an example of thigmotropism. So twiners and tendrils are going to show this thigmotropism, and they are going to show less growth in the region of the contact with support, and more growth would be shown on the other side. This is going to help the twiner to curl around the support.